Act 1, here we go. So, I came across these two documents. We're going to talk about what's going on in the world and as far as Europe and America and how to position yourself mentally if you're a global brand or doing business as an international company. And we're going to talk about that right now. Let's give it up. All right. So I used everybody's favorite tool, Notebook LM, and uploaded the National Security Strategy of the United States of America along with the let me get this clear so I can see the Financial Stability Oversight Council's 2025 annual report. I think we can give that a round of applause as well. So together, these two documents completely, unequivocally lay out America's strategy as far as business and foreign policy, and Notebook LM, very agnostically, without me prompting it one way or another, laid it out perfectly. So we're going to watch a little video that lays it all out, and we'll be done with Act 1 of our new series that will be discussing these concepts in detail. All right, here we go.
What if the entire playbook for how America deals with the world and its own economy was about to get a complete rewrite? That's what we're digging into today. We're looking at a brand new blueprint for the country's future, and it's all drawn from two really important policy documents that could change, well, pretty much everything.
All right, so what's the problem this whole new blueprint is even trying to fix? Well, according to this new national security strategy, American foreign policy has kind of been lost at sea. The document basically says it's turned into a laundry list of wishes. You know, just a bunch of scattered goals with no real focus, no single purpose driving it all. And that critique, that's what kicks off this huge proposed shift.
So the solution isn't to treat foreign policy over here and the economy way over there. Nope. The idea is to weave them together. It's all part of one big philosophy. You can't be strong out in the world if you're not strong at home. And it works the other way too. They're really seen as two sides of the exact same coin.
And the glue holding all of this together, it's this principle of America First. Now, the documents are really clear. They're not talking about a political slogan. They see it as a practical, everyday filter for every single decision. The big question they're asking is, does this actually work for the American people? So whether we're talking about a massive trade deal or a tiny banking rule, that right there is the new bottom line.
Okay, so how does this America First filter actually change things on the world stage? The National Security Strategy is calling for a really big course correction. It basically argues that for decades, the US has been trying to be everything to everyone, a mission it calls permanent American domination. The new plan is to kind of pull back from that and get way more focused. And this slide, it just lays out the before and after perfectly. On one side, you have the old way of doing things, criticized for having these messy goals and a kind of globalism that, according to the document, gutted American industry while letting our allies kind of freeload. The fix they're proposing? It's a laser focus on what's good for America, building up strength at home, and really importantly, telling allies, hey, you gotta pull your own weight now. So what's this new foreign policy actually built on? You can really think of it as a shift from idealism to just raw realism. The core ideas are pretty straightforward. First, a strong economy and a strong military are your best defense. Second, stay out of other countries' fights unless it's absolutely critical. And maybe the biggest one of all, every single policy decision has to answer one key question. How does this help the American worker? And here's a perfect, concrete example of that burden-sharing idea in action. The strategy is putting forward something called the Hague Commitment. And what is it? It's a new standard for our NATO allies. Spend 5% of your GDP on your own defense. Now that is a huge jump, and the whole point is to shift the main responsibility for Europe's security back to, well, the Europeans. But you know, a strong foreign policy, it's got to have a solid foundation right here at home. And that brings us to the second key document we're looking at, the one that really gets into the economic side of things. It goes so far as to redefine what financial stability even means, arguing that you just can't be secure out in the world if your economy isn't secure. Right, so let's talk about the Financial Stability Oversight Council, or FSOC for short. This is the group of top regulators. Their whole job is to spot risks in the US financial system. And their brand new report shows exactly how that America First philosophy gets translated into actual dollars and cents. And here is the big shift. For years, financial stability basically meant one thing, preventing another crash like we saw in 2008. But this new definition says, nope, that's not enough. Real stability, it argues, means making sure you have long-term economic growth. It's like, instead of just fireproofing a building, the new goal is to make sure that building is a booming place to do business. So from now on, every single regulation has to be judged by that standard. Does it help or hurt growth? And to back this up, the report points to something huge, the ballooning US national debt. We're talking nearly $30 trillion. All of that debt gets traded in what's called the Treasury market, which is basically the foundation of the entire global financial system. And here's the argument. Some of the very rules that were put in place after the 2008 crisis might actually be making it harder for this massive market to work smoothly. And that, ironically, could be creating whole new risks. So what's the proposed solution? It's to go back and take a hard look at those rules. The goal is to clear out any regulations that might be gumming up the works, acting like a clog in the financial pipes, and making it tough for banks to keep that all-important treasury market running smoothly. It's a very direct move to put economic energy and financial health first, ahead of what they see as rigid or outdated rules. Okay, so that's the theory. But what does this blueprint look like when the rubber meets the road? Let's break down how these big ideas actually translate into specific policies, from right here in our own backyard to the other side of the planet. All right, first up, let's look at the Western Hemisphere. The strategy literally calls for dusting off the Monroe Doctrine. I mean, this is a policy that's almost 200 years old, and it basically tells foreign powers, hey, stay out of our neighborhood. The goal is to push back hard against competitors from outside the hemisphere and really re-establish the US as the #1 player in the region. And this updated take is being called the Trump Corollary. So what does that mean in practice? It means actively trying to be the partner of choice for countries in Latin America on everything from trade deals to security. The idea is to pretty much block out any rivals who are trying to get a foothold. Now, let's jump over to Asia. The strategy here pivots away from a mainly military focus to an intense economic competition. So what does that look like? It means tackling what they call unfair trade deals, cracking down hard on intellectual property theft, and getting allies to team up and form a united front against any country using its economic muscle in a predatory way. Back home, in the US banking system, the blueprint tells financial regulators to get back to basics. The message is clear. Focus on one thing, the financial health of the banks, their safety and soundness, and stop what the documents call mission drift. That means pulling back from issues like, say, climate risk, which are framed here as being outside the core job of just making sure the financial system doesn't collapse. And when it comes to the US borders, the language is incredibly blunt. The strategy declares, and I'm quoting here, the era of mass migration is over. It frames controlling the border as a top-tier national security issue, one that's essential to stop what it calls these destabilizing flows of people. And finally, there's technology. This is really the thread that runs through everything. Both of these documents put a huge emphasis on the race to lead in artificial intelligence. They see it as absolutely critical, both for keeping a military advantage overseas and for defending our financial system from cyber threats right here at home. So, let's step back. When you put all these pieces together, from how we deal with allies to how we regulate our own banks, what's the big picture here? What's the main takeaway from this whole new vision? At the end of the day, this blueprint is really sketching out a much more self-reliant America. The core belief is that a nation's strength doesn't start at its borders, it starts in its factories, in its banks, and in its communities. The path to having peace and stability out in the world, according to this view, runs right through building a stronger, more prosperous, and more independent America right here at home. And that leaves us with one last big question.
This whole blueprint is clearly a response to the way things have been done for the last few decades. But as it tries to fix old problems, what new ones might it create? A strategic shift this big always has trade-offs, and you can be sure the entire world will be watching to see exactly what those trade-offs turn out to be.
So, there we have it. We've got the National Security Strategy Report and the Financial Stability Oversight Council's annual report condensed in a short, I think it was a 7-minute video. And so we're going to explore what this new brand of American strategy means. Because the gravity is shifting. That's the name of this series. This is Act 1. So the gravity is shifting. What does that mean? Boots on the ground for American businesses. What does that mean for businesses that operate in America and in Europe? What trends can we see? What ways can we take advantage of this brave new world? All right. Bon weekend. Have a good weekend. Big playoff game today in American football. It's going to be very exciting. All right. Take care. We'll see you soon. Au revoir.